Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everyone for coming back to my channel, and if you're listening in the podcast, thank you so much for being here. Today I'm going to speak about an incident that happened, a case I guess I can say that happened early this week, and this took place in New Jersey. And before I continue, I want to tell you that this is very sensitive subject, and I know especially in January, during the winter time, there's people who deal with a lot of stuff. Everybody's dealing with something. If you turn around, you start speaking to people, there are always people dealing with stuff. And I know it's like a yearly thing also, beginning of the year. People also tend to think, New Year resolution, things like that. And you start analyzing your life, and another year has passed, and what have you accomplished. So I gotta give you this warning before you continue to listening to this or watching this, that I'm going to speak about a sensitive subject, including somebody harming themselves and harming the people that they love, okay? So if you're dealing with something similar, maybe this is not the video that you want to watch right now, but I am going to say, me being a Christian, a believer in Jesus Christ, let me just start by saying this, right? There's nothing that in life that doesn't have a resolution, and except for death, right? That's why we tell you all the time, as a believer in Jesus Christ, get your heart right with God, because that's the only thing that's going to matter at the end of the day, right? Everything in life has a solution. Everything in life has a solution. A lot of the times we think there's no way out, right? And that's what the enemy does. He plays with your mind, and he tells you, there's no way out. And let me just tell you, there's always a solution, okay? Pray to your creator, pray to God in Jesus' name. If you're dealing with something difficult, okay, God knows that we make mistakes. God knows that we're not perfect. And God knows, his love and mercy will carry us. Just confess anything that you have done, anything that you're dealing with, Like I said, there's nothing so terrible that you have done that God cannot fix, okay? There's always a solution. So I gotta start by saying that. And also, if you need prayer, you can always reach out to me. If you don't know anybody probably in the faith, or you don't attend a church or something like that, you always email me. If you need a specific prayer, my email is Julissadesigns.com. If you need a specific prayer. So this case is about the mom. Her name is Andrea Alarcon, and she lived out of New Jersey. And this week, specifically on Wednesday of this week, beginning of the year, this mom took upon her hands to basically harm her husband and two kids and herself. And there's this whole situation that they were dealing with, right? So let me read to you briefly and very discreet this article about what happened. Andrea Alarcon and harm her husband, Ruben Alarcon, 51 years old, and her two daughters, Scarlett, 9 years old, and Emma, 6 years old. And then she eventually harmed herself also, and fatally, right? And they live in Lindcrest Terrace home in Union City, New Jersey. It says here that local sheriff, okay, this is what people are dealing with right now. And people, you go on TikTok and people talk about how much the prices are going in grocery and things like that. There are people that cannot even afford a place to live, right? We look at all the whole situation with the immigrants coming to New York and to a lot of other cities. There's people struggling right now. And this is so crazy. I wasn't even going to talk about this. And there are people struggling right now, and we have to give to the poor. That's our call in the Bible. That's our calling from God. So a lot of the times, I was not even going to mention this, but a lot of the times I'm feeling that to say this, people are like, you have to give your tithes so God can open the windows of heaven for you. Give your money to the church so that God can bless you. You can also give to the poor, right? Just think about that, the necessity. A lot of the times, this whole idea of give money to tithing so that you can get blessing, but there are people struggling right now. And something that I always say, I love going to GoFundMe. And when I talk about a story here, you guys have seen that I'm always sharing the link for a GoFundMe account to help the families and people that are affected by it. There's so many people in need right now, people who are struggling. So if God put in your heart to help somebody and you're like, oh man, I have the money to give to the tithes, to give my 10% to the church, or I have money to buy somebody's groceries. Like, what do you think God is gonna say? And that's something that is not spoken in the church a lot. We are supposed to be helping the poor. We are supposed to help the people in need. It's not just give tithes so that God can open the windows of heaven so you can have a lot of blessings. Okay, so let me go back to the story. That's a whole nother subject about tithing and all of that in itself. But this is a sad story. We lost a 51-year-old Ruben Alarcon. Emma, one of the daughters, was only 6 years old to go through something like that, and Scarlett, 9 years old, and then eventually the mom, Andrea Alarcon, I believe she was 42, very very young, all of them very young, right? And for her to do something like that, we eventually learned that the family's home that they've been living in for 15 years was in foreclosure. Okay, like I said, there's people struggling right now. People, we're going to work, it's not even enough to pay our bills. And there's people struggling, and you have to go beyond the, hey, how are you? It's okay to go beyond and say, hey, let me know if you need prayer for anything, okay? And a lot of the times, don't just ask for prayer. Hey, if somebody said, we're kind of struggling grocery shopping, if God puts in your heart to help a family and buy them groceries that week or something, do that, okay? So what I'm saying about the whole situation leading up to this, their home was foreclosed in October 31st, Halloween Day 2023. So up to those months, I can only imagine the stress that I guess as a family they were dealing with. And it's hard. I understand that it's hard when the family is dealing with financial issues and for that not to transpire throughout the home and also within the children, right? They pick up on that. They pick up on changed behavior from mom and dad. So I'm sure it was probably very hard. And, we don't know, like Andrea's, the mom's plan was. Maybe she gave them the best Christmas so that, maybe she already thought about it. Who knows? But I'm going to say, there's always a solution for things. If you got to go through a difficult situation where you have to move out of your home temporarily, okay, move into an apartment even smaller, but you're still all together and you're able to probably afford the rent. And credit and debt is crazy. Can you imagine? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. When I went to college, I don't want to say what year, but it was a long time ago. I was terrified. I'm like, man, signing my name. I'm signing my name to all this money. I don't even know, and there's something about walking by faith and all of that. And I believe in that. And I've been doing that in my life. And I try, I pray to God all the time, show me where you want me to walk by faith on this or the other, take that step. And I was like, man, it's so crazy because this is how you have to live life, right? You have to live by faith. There's always a solution. And I remember just not long ago, I got a letter saying some of my loans were dismissed. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if they would have told me that back when I signed up for them, that I would have relieved that stress that I went through. And like the years paying it and all of that. But that's what, you take a risk in life. And like I said, you put your faith in the Lord, and there's always a solution. You know how many people are losing like their homes, their cars, and things like that? It is a difficult time, and people can shame you and all of that because there's always somebody who wants to point fingers. It's like, well, you should live within your means. You don't know every people's situation. Things can change very fast in the workplace, okay? Things can get crazy. It can take just one boss that leaves and goes to another company and they hire somebody new who doesn't like you. Things can change extremely fast in a workplace that you've been, regardless of how many years, regardless if you work overtime for them, regardless if you're a good employee. It takes very quickly for things to turn, right? So that's why you have to put your faith in the Lord and believe that there's always a solution for things, you know? And sometimes we see problems arise and we're like, man, there's no way out of this. This is crazy. Like, after all this year, maybe this family had that house for so many years and then they're foreclosed. And, it's probably like, wow, man, what have I, maybe I'm just giving my opinion here now. Maybe she thought, have I accomplished in my life? And look where I am right now. And I can't even like keep paying the house for my kids that they love or things. And it could have been anything, right? But all I'm saying that even so, eventually, the kids will learn from that to see going through the struggle and then coming out of that. I came here with my mom and my sister. Like when we came, we didn't know. We went from house to house, from cousin to other cousin to uncles to this and the other, and sleeping on people's, borrowed rooms, I guess you can say, and sharing their stuff and things like that. And by the third day, the welcome gets very done very quickly when you do stuff like that. And I remember seeing my mom crying and saying, I can't find work. I don't know what to do. And one day we were like in a park in the Bronx and it was so cold. And we were visiting her because we were living with our dad temporarily, but she was staying from cousin to cousin, after that. And she was like, I can't find work. I don't know what to do. And she's like, I can't believe I came to this country with you guys. And I can, we were all three of us crying because when you see your leader, like your mom, crying and you're so young, you're looking at that and you're like, wow, I don't know, like if she's crying, I'm like, really, what are we gonna do, right? But then I remember that same week she spoke with one of her brothers that live here in Connecticut, and he's like, come here, see maybe you can find work. And after like a few months, it was hard because you're living with another family. It was hard, but after a few months, we were living our own apartment. But I learned so much from my mom in that moment because even though she was crying and she was trying so hard to get a job. I remember her going to places and applying. This is somebody who had a career and everything in the Dominican Republic and coming here with like not knowing anything. This goes to learn. You're learning also as you listen to this about the immigrants that come here. These are not just people who have a drug addiction that live in the streets, a lot of homeless and things like that. Anybody can be a homeless, anybody can be an immigrant. Think about that. When we came here, like my mom had her career established over there in the Dominican Republic, but we saw an opportunity to come here, and we have come and visit New York previous years, and we're like, we want to live there. We love it, right? Because in vacation time, everything always looks good. When you come for vacation, everybody's perfect. Everybody's welcoming and happy and giving you gifts, right? And then it gets real. So I learned so much from my mom too, even though during this time we were going through a hardship, I guess you can say, and she couldn't find work. But we moved to Danbury, Connecticut, and she was able to find work like immediately, and not just one job. Then there were other opportunities for her to babysit at home during the day, and she would work the night shift. And we saved enough to get a deposit for an apartment, and within a few months, like the whole not having a place was history. And it's like you learn some from that. And a lot of the times we like families that they don't want to, the kids, they notice things and they learn too, because I remember stories like that. I was so young too when we came here, so I remember that. So every struggle that you go through in life will lead you to something good. You just have to have the faith that whatever comes your way, God is there with you. You have to just pray about it, right? So let me just continue to read here about this story about the Alarcon family that lost their life, I guess you can say, early this week in New Jersey. Local sheriff showed up at the home to serve the eviction notice around 10:30 on Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, when they found all the four victims. The weapon was also located near the woman's body. So I don't know if the whole situation, when it comes to like, did the mom and dad knew that this was coming? or maybe something was hidden, some information was hidden. A lot of the times when we're dealing with something horrible, we're trying to hide details from our loved ones, because if I reveal this, they're gonna hate me forever or something like that. But you have to understand, the truth will set you free. When you're honest about something, even though people will always appreciate honesty over anything. Just be honest and say, hey, I made a mistake. Maybe something happened here that she didn't want to tell the husband or and I'm talking about her because they're saying it was her who did it, right, Andrea? And maybe she was hiding financial issues. There are a lot of men who do that too. A lot of men in marriages, in family men, they hide financial things from the wife, and then they go crazy. You have to communicate. We are to share our struggle with people. Of course, you got to know who you talk to, because there's always gonna, like I said earlier, there's always going to be that person who doesn't understand what somebody being vulnerable with you is, and they're always going to judge before they offer help, right? And they're always going to condemn and judge instead of saying, hey, let's pray about it. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, there's always a solution, and God is always there, and God is going to lead us eventually to make the right decision in whatever it is that we're dealing with. So I wanted to share this story to tell you about that, right? The whole message about this episode, this video, is about whatever it is that you're dealing with in life. God is always ready to help you with any struggles. And like I said, there's always a solution. No matter how the enemy is the one who always tells you there's no way out. He always says that. But, God is bigger than anything that you can face in life. So pray to your Creator in Jesus' name. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel and listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, Julissadesigns, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.julissadesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.